Welcome to another edition of the Mail Time Podcast, part 2 of our investigation into the charges against Orin and Alon Alexander, their brother Tal. The first two civil cases filed in March of 2024 did not include Tal. So right now we're focused on Orin and Alon. Check back earlier for the first investigation. Reminder, please like and subscribe and share so that we can continue to get this coverage out and spread the word about what's going on. Again, not making a claim that you'd want to be friends with any of the brothers, not making a claim that they're completely upstanding or gentlemanly, just trying to get a sense of the facts and not have sensationalized videos that are in part sponsored by some of the plaintiff's lawyers. So this is something that we're keeping an eye on and just trying to actually review line by line the majority of the complaints. So here's part 2, the second case that really blew things open here against the Alexander brothers. Make the screen a little bit bigger for everyone here. All right, so starting, it's Kate Whiteman against Alon Alexander, Oren Alexander, and Ivan Wilzig, aka Sir Ivan. So Torgan, Cooper, and Aaron is the law firm. Okay. The action is timely commenced pursuant to the Adult Survivors Act, the state of New York, which opened up against the statute of limitations so that there'd be more of an opportunity for people to bring cases, especially after the Me Too movement. So this action seeks compensatory and punitive damages to redress the injuries plaintiff Kate Whiteman has suffered and will continue to suffer as a result of being sexually harassed, assaulted, abused, and raped on May 26th, 2012. So that's 12 years before this was filed, more or less. Kate lives in Australia. Alon, Oren, identical twin brothers. Also, Ivan Wilzig here again. This allegedly happened in Watermill, New York. So Sir Ivan has a castle where it seems to be somewhat similar to Hugh Hefner. That's kind of the vibe that we get from this description and how everything's going. Saying that they're responsible for sexual abuse and rape. Okay, so in or around 2008, so this is 4 years before this is alleged, the plaintiff became acquainted with defendants Alon and Oren and would frequently see the twins out and about in New York City. Oren would constantly text plaintiff to try to entice her into meeting up and going out with him. Plaintiff would always decline. On many occasions, Alon would sometimes pretend to be his twin brother Oren, trying to help his brother and call or text plaintiff on Oren's behalf. So she's alleging that Alon would take Oren's phone and reach out to her. This is provable on cellular records. Clearly, Oren, according to this case, was interested in her. In or around May 2012, Memorial Day weekend, Oren asked plaintiff if she was going to be in the Hamptons for Memorial Day weekend. Plaintiff confirmed she would be going. On or about Saturday, May 26th, 2012, plaintiff arrived at Dune nightclub. As she was preparing to leave Dune, Alon recognized plaintiff, forcibly grabbed her hand, and led plaintiff outside to a black SUV where his brother Oren was waiting. So it doesn't go into whether or not they had met in the club, if they'd had any conversation, if there was any coordination. So that's not said in this lawsuit. Again, just trying to highlight what is said and what's not said in these cases without sensationalism. So the accusation is Alon recognized plaintiff, forcefully grabbed her hand, and led plaintiff outside to a black SUV where his brother Oren was waiting. So essentially, without her knowledge or permission, is taking her to an SUV. The twins forcefully pulled plaintiff into the black SUV and quickly closed the doors before the driver sped off. So there's a driver, maybe an Uber, that is working with the brothers to kidnap Kate. Plaintiff repeatedly asked the twins where they were going, but they refused to answer and instead smirked at one another. So the allegations here are that Alon runs into Kate at this bar club and proceeds to kidnap this woman, takes her to a black SUV. The driver sees that she's locked in, and they drive. And they smirk at one another. After driving for quite some time, the SUV turned off the road, drove up a long driveway in a remote area. Plaintiff later found out she had been taken to Sir Ivan's castle. The twins then opened the door and led Plaintiff out of the vehicle. The twins then grabbed Plaintiff's hand and led her to a room inside the garage. Once Plaintiff and the twins were inside the garage door, the door closed and locked immediately right behind them. So this is basically an allegation of an old-fashioned kidnapping. Rushed into a mysterious black SUV, driven on a long winding road, taken into a house, and the doors locked behind her. She was then told she must change into a sarong. Plaintiff then proceeded to make a dash for the stairs that led up to the house while fully dressed. As Plaintiff bolted for the stairs, there was a security bouncer who grabbed her arm and dragged her back into the garage. So she's trying to leave this assault, and she's refused. Her request is refused, and there's now a fourth accomplice at all times, or really a fifth, because you have the driver, you have a bouncer, you have Sir Ivan's house. At all times relevant herein, the bouncer was an agent, employee, and or servant of defendant Sir Ivan. Plaintiff was ultimately forced to strip and change into a sarong. Her phone and other belongings were placed into a locker that was immediately locked by Oren, who then put the key around his waist. The twins then led Plaintiff upstairs to what appeared to be a large bedroom. So she's forced to change her clothing. All of her items are put in a locked locker. Thereafter, Plaintiff was sexually assaulted, abused, raped, pinned, groped, harassed, battered, and fondled by defendants Alon and Oren. Plaintiff is not and was not the only victim to fall prey to the twins' heinous acts. Okay, so then it proceeds into the hearsay argument of other allegations, as we discussed in the first video, but that's not relevant to what is going on here from a criminal perspective, perhaps from a civil perspective of trying to build a case, but from a criminal perspective, not relevant. Plaintiff was and continues to be distraught after these incidents, that for months she had stayed in bed and very rarely left her home due to extreme depression, anxiety, and fear for her own safety. Plaintiff now continues to suffer from anxiety, depression, and nightmares. Plaintiff has had many issues in resuming everyday life. As a result of the foregoing, plaintiff sustained physical injuries, severe psychological trauma, emotional injuries, and has and will continue to suffer depression, anxiety, emotional distress, anguish, ridicule, embarrassment, humiliation, and degradation, loss of enjoyment of life, and has greatly injured her reputation and character, and her injuries will be permanent in nature and effect. Unclear where the injury to reputation is stemming from, at least within this filing. It's a 13-page filing. As a consequence of defendant's false imprisonment of plaintiff sustained conscious pain and suffering. Plaintiff's health was impaired. Plaintiff suffered great mental distress, shock, fright, and humiliation, and plaintiff's reputation and character were injured. If this is true, this is absolutely horrible, and they should be punished to the full extent of the law. Just going line by line to understand exactly what the charges are. Again, now going into Sir Ivan. I'm assuming Sir Ivan has cameras. There's now a bouncer, a driver. There's going to be receipts for whoever paid for this driver. This is all pretty easily checkable. Okay, signed. So look, this is just line by line of exactly what's going on. If these charges are true, it's absolutely horrendous, atrocious. If they're not, then it's equally horrible that they would be alleged against them. This is not to say that Orin and Alon are angels, but this is just a straight to the facts, non-hysterical review of the charge. There's so many of these podcasts and write-ups that try to string a pattern, and it's important just to look at each case individually, which is what we're trying to do. Please like and subscribe and continue to share the channel. We have a third one coming out soon. Thanks for tuning in thus far on the first two investigations into what happened with the Alexander brothers.